The report originated from CIGI's previous nuclear-related project, which was on the future of nuclear energy to 2030 and the implications for global governance. So it covered safety, security, nuclear non-proliferation. As the report was being researched and developed, I realised that many of the recommendations were for the International Atomic Energy Agency. So the thought occurred that based on this report, we could pull out all the recommendations for the agency, work on them further and develop them into a report on the IAEA itself. But all that work and those recommendations is available on the CIGI website on our report on nuclear energy and governance to 2030. So that's the background report really to this current one. The current one dissects the agency from top to bottom. It considers all the programs and comes out with a whole series of recommendations in each part of the agency's mandate. The three areas that I would pinpoint would be governance, management and funding. And the governance area, a major recommendation is a negative one in a sense, that the Board of Governors should not be expanded. There is this tendency in the UN system to expand governing bodies until they become totally unwieldy. And we see that in the case of the UN Security Council, for instance. We've seen it in the case of the Conference on Disarmament in Geneva. It's not clear at all that expanding the membership will increase the effectiveness of the Board of Governors, the IAEA. In fact, I suspect the opposite will happen. So the report recommends that it not be expanded, but the electoral system for the Board of Governors be reviewed. So it gives every member state a better chance to be on the board. At the moment, there are a whole raft of countries which continuously get re-elected to the board, and they have really a stranglehold on it, these semi-permanent members, they're often referred to as. So we think that system should be scrapped, but don't expand the size of the board. That will simply make it even more unwieldy than it already is. On management, the agency does need to drag itself further into the 21st century in terms of its management and technical capabilities. These have been allowed to run down over the years because of the zero growth budgeting policy of a certain number of member states. So the agency really needs to start ramping up that capacity because expectations are high that the agency will be effective and efficient, more so than it has been in the past. For instance, in the area of IT, it really needs to improve the way it does business in-house. It needs a better communications capability and strategy. It needs better technical capacity, better training for its safeguards inspectors. So these can all be done, but they obviously need resources. So the second area for close attention is the resources available to the agency. And there, what is proposed is a grand bargain, a grand budgetary bargain, so that some states pay more, some pay less, that the agency sets up a contingency fund, that it looks for alternative means of financing. But the political sensitivities around this proposal are so great that it's probably better to do them as a bargain, a whole raft of proposals just put into one package, in which some states will be more or less happy with the outcome, some more happy than others, but essentially each country gets a piece of the pie, as it were, that suits it better. So the report proposes this grand financial bargain, and we'll see what comes of that. But whether there's a bargain or not, the agency does need more resources. And in return, the agency needs to make a better case itself as to why it needs particular help in particular areas. It hasn't been particularly good at that in the past, and it needs to ramp up its capacity in that area. So essentially, governance, management and finance are the three areas of the report I think we'll have the most interesting recommendations on.